It started with a single knock, a sound so faint it could have been ignored. But that's the thing about the unknown, isn't it? It always starts small. When Ella moved into her new apartment, she wasn't looking for excitement. She needed peace, a place to restart her life after a messy breakup. It was quiet, clean, and most importantly, cheap. Too cheap, her friends had warned. But Ella waved off their concerns. Just a good deal, she'd said. The knocks began on the second night. At first, it was easy to blame on neighbors. Thin walls, old building, it made sense. But the knocks weren't random. 3 precise raps, every time the same rhythm. By the fourth night, Ella noticed something strange. The knocks came from her bedroom wall, the one that didn't connect to any other apartment. She tried to dismiss it, distracting herself with work and podcasts, but the noise wouldn't stop. It became routine. Every night, 2:13 a.m., 3 knocks. It didn't matter if the lights were on or off, if she was awake or trying to sleep. Out of curiosity, Ella knocked back. 3 light taps. The silence that followed made her skin crawl, as if the very air in the room had thickened. But just as she was starting to feel silly, the reply came. 3 heavier knocks, slower this time, like whoever or whatever was on the other side was taking its time. The next morning, Ella inspected the wall. Nothing. No cracks, no hollow spots, no sign that it was anything other than solid plaster. But her nights kept getting worse. One night, she woke up to find her phone flashlight flickering on its own, pointed directly at the wall. Another time, she heard faint whispers, as though someone was pressed right against it, speaking in a language she couldn't understand. It wasn't until she finally confided in her coworker Daniel that she got some answers. He listened, his face growing pale. "You said 2:13 a.m. every night?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Ella nodded. Daniel pulled out his phone and began searching. That building has a history. A woman who lived there about 10 years ago reported the same thing, knocking at the exact same time. And he hesitated. And what? She disappeared. One night, she just vanished. They found her apartment completely intact. Lights on, food on the table, but she was gone. All that was left was a message she'd scratched into the wall. Ella felt a chill run down her spine. What did it say? Daniel stared at her, the glow of his phone making his expression even more eerie. It said, "Don't answer." Ella didn't go home that night. She stayed at Daniel's place, but curiosity got the better of her. The next morning she returned, determined to prove to herself that it was just her imagination. She sat by the wall, waiting. Midnight turned into 1 a.m. and then 2 a.m. Finally, 2:13 struck. The knocks came, louder this time, shaking the picture frames on her wall. Her breath hitched, but she didn't move. "Who are you?" she whispered, her voice trembling. The answer wasn't what she expected. It wasn't knocks this time. It was laughter. Low, guttural, and so close it felt like it was inside her own head. She bolted from the apartment and never went back. Days later, the landlord called her, frustrated. "If you weren't going to pay, you could have at least taken your stuff," he said. But Ella didn't care. She left everything behind, her clothes, her furniture, even her laptop. Whatever was in that apartment could keep it. Months passed, and Ella moved on. She never told anyone where she went, never stayed in one place for too long. But the knocks? They never stopped. Because it wasn't the apartment that was haunted, it was her. Subscribe for more terrifying tales that will keep you up at night.